Welcome back, everybody, to the Derby City Fandom podcast. And guess what, boys? 'Tis the season.
Candy for everybody.
Candy for everybody, and probably a knife in the back, too. It's horror film time, and Halloween just around the corner.
Full disclosure, I did mine Halloween films, so my list has nothing to do with
Mine's scary.
Mine are scary and culturally influential.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, so
I think mine would fall under that category as well. But a lot of mine, like looking at it now, like watching those films now, for me, I think they're more comical. But I took it more to like growing up, like easily impressionable, that kind of stuff. That's what pretty much scared me at the time. But now when I watch a scary film, it's honestly comical to me. So
a lot of them are, and
yeah, most of mine are more comedy based.
Yeah, some of them, I guess, follow the same sort of formula where you have like the lull in action and then basically the guy doing the writing. It's just like, okay, at this point in time, their defenses should be lowered. Let's throw in a scare here. And however that may be, whichever way they try to do it. Some films do that fantastically. Some films do that maybe a little too much, and thus it becomes campy. Yeah. Like there have been entire, like more well put together like documentaries about just horror films as a genre in general and like what they have done. But today here at Derby City Fandom, we are going to focus on our top 5. So who would like to start?
I don't know. Jake, you want to go first?
I'll go first. Number 5 for good old Jake here. 1974. We're going back to the 1970s, boys. Young Frankenstein with Gene Wilder. Have you guys seen it?
Yes.
I love it. Frau Blucher.
Yeah. So what about that film did you like the most?
Well, it's 1974, as I mentioned, directed by Mel Brooks. Like I mentioned, my list is going to be more comedic relief. It's not really scary. It's whatever kind of Halloween movies that I watched during Halloween time. It was just fun. It was a classic fun. Every year I would try to watch it. It was just a good time.
Fair enough. Now, I guess on the opposite side of the spectrum, most of my top 5s are generally kind of creepy and unsettling. So my number 5 is The Shining, as directed by Stanley Kubrick. That film, just on a cinematic level, was fantastic. They had some really great like camera shots and camera work there. But then you just pair that up with just the unsettling nature of the Overlook Hotel. Like the Overlook Hotel is a character itself. And you just get to watch Nicholson and Duvall just kind of slowly go insane with the house just kind of messing with their brains the entire time. Danny being a really creepy little kid. But when I think The Shining, I always think back to the long scene of Danny riding around the hallways on his tricycle, and the camera is placed like behind Danny, like over his shoulders a bit, and you just kind of see him go through like these long hallways that don't really have too many turns, no like real like doors.
Yeah.
You just see him turn a corner, and there are these 2 creepy little girls, twin girls, at the end of the hallway that he comes to a stop to, and they're just there. And it is one of those scenes that always just kind of sticks out as, that's creepy. I don't like that.
I could see why you picked it. It's definitely a horror film that, was embraced by society. Just like it had made a major cultural impact.
Yeah. I had to struggle because for number 5, I had
Did it scare
a lot of like Stephen King books made into movies in this spot. Like, I considered putting like The Mist here.
Yeah.
Which arguably I would say is a more engaging film because it's more science fiction-y as opposed to like, just straight like dread.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Stephen King, you can't really.
Yeah,
Regards to horror film, you can't really go wrong with him.
correct.
But at the same time, for Stephen King, at what point should he just stop?
Should have stopped back in the 90s.
Because, he obviously has his iconic films,
Sure.
Pet Cemetery and a bunch of others. But even now he's coming out with new shit. Or actually, I guess technically, he's
Pet
still coming
Sematary
out
just
with
got
new
a
shit,
remake,
but
though.
there's also like remakes to make it more modern.
Yeah. Hey, man. More power
Right.
to him. So did The Shining scare the living crap out of you as a kid, Kenny?
Yeah, and it wasn't like jump scares. It's more like when I'm walking around in like reality, if I just in like long hallways with like not that many doors and everything just looks the same. I'll throw up a photo right here of the hallway I'm talking about. Something about it just bothers me. And I'm not sure if I can really explain it. It's a sense of dread that I have now.
To this day, Kenny,
with like
grown ass man,
with
scared of the Shining.
with like hotel hallways just bother me now. It's
Kenny,
bad. But
Kenny, I respect that. Just the iconic
Iconic's a good word to describe this film.
scenes from that film. Rather, you go back into like behind the scenes where Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall are like prepping for that iconic like axe through the door, and Shelley Duvall's on the other side like screaming, and he just like peeks through the door. Here comes Johnny, like. That and a bunch of other scenes. One scene that actually comes to mind, and this kind of actually is in a different movie,
yeah,
but
there's a couple.
There's that scene that we were just talking about with the little child on the bike going through the hallway, and then at the end you see the two girls. That scene was on a movie screen in the movie Twister,
Yes.
right when like an F4 or F5 tornado is like going through like
Yeah.
this little.
Like
drive-in
this film
movie
had a
theater.
lot of staying
yeah.
power
Yeah,
afterwards. Like there's particular scenes that always get kind of picked at critically. It's like the scenes with like the elevators full of blood, and when the doors open, they just get like swamped by like this tidal wave of, cornstarch and red food dye mixed with water. You get like the scene where the person goes up and they look into a room and they just see this guy suggestively getting a blowjob from a person in like this animal costume, and they just turn and look, and there are no words, but you just see Duvall's just horror of like what she just like witnessed or thinks she's witnessed, because she doesn't know how much of this is actually real.
Yeah.
It's established in the film that the house kind of has like this weird psychic energy and it likes to fuck with people, and so does Danny, and that's where you get the term The Shining from, because the cook, I believe, the head cook, like the only like normal human guy, calls it a shining.
Yep.
And that's where you get the title.
Yep.
It's never brought up again, ever.
But you know what? That's
But
what
it
I
works.
love about movies in general. It's honestly one of my like favorite things. Besides, I've said this before in other episodes, but besides the score of the film, but when they say the name of the movie in the movie,
You're a
love
title
that
drop
shit.
guy?
I'm one of those guys.
Oh, man.
But they, like you said, Kenny, they only did it like subtly that one time. Anyway, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
Kenny, I think your number 5 choice is a
Good
good
pick.
choice.
Good pick.
Yeah.
I particularly wouldn't have put it there, but that's just my opinion.
Well, what did you put number 5 on your list?
For
Cole?
number 5, everybody, drum roll. We're gonna do. What did I even put? I totally honestly forgot. Oh yeah, the Blair Witch Project. Number 5.
Okay. I agree that it should be in a top 5 scenario. We'll get to it later. Jake's been spoiled because he got here early.
So for me, the Blair Witch Project, I saw that when I was like really young. I don't know, just that paranormal kind of like paranormal activity kind of stuff, which
Funny you mentioned that.
Another movie, by the way, terrible. But I do like that.
It's
that
clearly
POV
inspired.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, the found footage genre, as they call
that
it.
raw footage.
Yeah.
I think is the word, the
Found footage.
verbiage I would use.
Yeah.
But that kind of POV raw footage really does it for me. I think it's really cool. It's neat. The director, I believe, was Eduardo Sanchez and Daniel Myrick. But I even looked up the ratings on the film, and IMDb had it at a 6.5 out of 10.
It did not
And Rotten Tomatoes,
rate
86%.
well.
Like,
It did not rate well when it first came out. People hated that film. But it did so damn... Okay. I might have to spoil my entire list at this point.
I mean, that movie came out in 99.
99.
No spoilers.
Okay. But, so I know a lot about that film because it's one of my favorites. Spoilers. But that film got really popular at Sundance. It released to Sundance first, the Sundance Festival, where a lot of like these kind of like low budget horror films kind of start out at, right? Because they're the more niche, and that's what the audience has come to expect, and that's why you go to Sundance. But then I forget which company picked it up afterwards, but they ended up buying it off of Sundance for like $3 million. And then released it again, like in a larger scale.
Yeah.
So, if I remember my numbers correct, Blair Witch, the production by itself, was done over the course of 8 days of on-site filming, 20 hours of footage that got reduced down to like 88 minutes, and the overall budget was like $30,000. After they did marketing, it ended up going up to something like $200,000.
Good for that.
Final box office numbers is $248.6 million.
Damn. I'll take that return.
Yeah. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean,
That'll never happen today. But
No, it can't.
awesome.
They've tried. That's the thing. Like, they've tried.
that ROI. I mean,
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
But
I could make something for $30,000 and get a $200 million profit.
yeah, really nice.
Yeah, that'd be freaking pretty badass.
I think I'd be okay with that.
Speaking of profits, my number 4, I have no idea how it did in the box office, but it was a really good film. So ranked number 4 on my list is 28 Days Later.
Yes.
Good old 2002 zombie apocalypse film.
In Britain.
London, Britain.
Yep.
Cillian Murphy. Colin, your boy Cillian.
My first introduction to him back in 2002.
Absolutely loved it.
I
Good
think I saw
zombie
that
flick.
film with you guys, actually,
Probably.
one Halloween.
Probably. Yeah, it was a good film.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with zombies. It just, the whole thing about
It was a different kind of zombie, but by that point, because we were so used to Romero's Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead,
Yeah.
or Day of the Living Dead, whichever.
And I don't know,
all
like-
of those zombies, like the slow, like shambling zombies,
Yeah.
versus these, which I guess is not technically a zombie virus. I believe they called it the rage virus in the film. Somebody can correct me down in the comments, but I'm pretty sure it was not technically zombies, but they're zombies. Whatever. Tomato, tomato. But
I
these
don't-
zombies sprinted after you. These zombies had goals, and they were going to get them.
Oh, hell yeah. And like, the argument against it is, I guess, would you consider it more of a thriller movie, Kenny?
Yeah.
Nonetheless, it's something I would watch near Halloween time. That's why it was put on my list.
It's still a part of the genre, but it's less like jump scary, and it's kind of more of like the kind of hopelessness, dread of like, society has like, imploded because of, zombie outbreak. How are we going to deal? And dealing with the stress of trying to keep your daughter alive at the same time.
Yeah.
So
And then there's 28 weeks later, and they're supposed to come out with another one. Was it like 28 months or years or whatever?
something like that. There was
Oh, that was
supposed
cool.
They were working on a third one to make it a trilogy, but I think it just kind of got stuck in development hell.
Yeah. 28
It never
weeks
got off
wasn't
the ground.
nearly as good. But 28 days.
28 weeks
Solid.
later, though, with what's his name? Hawkeye. Is that who's in it? Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Shit, what's that actor's name? He's a
Renner? Jeremy Renner?
Jeremy Renner. That's right. He's a little bit of a shithead. But
In that film,
hopefully
yeah,
he's
kind
had
of is.
a good recovery though since his little accident back in the winter.
Yeah.
But anyway,
What you got on the fourth for you, Kenny?
My fourth. I have Jacob's Ladder. Now, I don't know if you all have ever heard of Jacob's Ladder before.
I've never
Colin
seen it.
might have.
yes.
Okay. But so this was a 1999 film directed by Adrian Lyne. It was, I think, one of the most influential, just like psychological horror films I had seen in a long time. Now, Jake, since you've never seen this film or probably have ever heard of it, it's basically you follow this guy that is dealing with PTSD, basically, kind of, sort of. Like, that's how they play it off.
No, it is.
Uh,
That's what I
like, you know,
call it.
because this guy was a Vietnam soldier for America.
Yeah.
And he goes through some things where he eventually starts just hallucinating and starts seeing random shit. And he ends up, like, throughout the film, like, just losing his goddamn mind. Then he finds, like, some of his people that were in, like, his patrol, and they're just like, well, I'm experiencing the same stuff too. And then it becomes like a pseudo, like, mystery kind of thing where they have to figure out what happened, right? Now, big twist is that the guy's dead and has been dead for quite a long time, but it becomes like this allegory of, like, you know, to be able to pass on, you got to work through, like, your regrets and kind of deal with shit.
Yep.
What I like about Jacob's Ladder in particular, and why I have it included here in my list, is that it has gone and inspired a lot of shit. It inspired one of my favorite franchises, Silent Hill. It's a horror video game, but it is credited directly. It inspired one of my favorite franchises, Silent Hill. It's a horror video game, but it is credited directly as an inspiration to that video game franchise, which I just adore.
I'll have to take your word on it.
Fair enough.
I guess it's my turn, huh?
It can be.
Number 4, ladies and gentlemen, for Colin.
Well, I guess we're going to be talking about this film again. Alien.
Hey.
Alien came out in 1979. Ridley Scott film. 8.5 out of 10 or 98% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Which is funny. I have a list of the 200 best horror movies, and it is rated the best on their list.
So for me, Alien, again, saw this at a young age. Sigourney Weaver and what's his name? Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton.
There you go.
I actually still quote that movie sometimes to this day, particularly Game Over, man.
It's game over, man. Hey, man. In space, no one can hear you scream, Jake. And let me tell you, there is a lot of space made available on the Nostromo after the alien gets through with it.
So the movie to me was scary-ish. But
it was just all practical. I loved it.
I enjoyed the film as a whole.
Yeah.
As a scary movie, so that's why I kind of put it in my top 5. But between all the Alien films in general, I think my particular favorite was actually Alien Resurrection.
Yeah.
Not Aliens. Okay.
No, Alien Resurrection. Out of all the Alien films, I would say Alien Resurrection is probably my favorite film.
Fair.
But anyway, definitely want to give a shout out to that particular franchise.
Yeah.
Alien is gonna be on my
Alien
top
is your number 4. Kenny, I'm going to jump ahead here and I'll let you go first for your number 3 because I would imagine it's.
Yeah, so I have Aliens as my number 3 for more or less the same reasons Collins had it. Just Ridley Scott working with H.R. Geiger, some of the best monster design in the business. Just classic stuff. Now, I guess I can't imagine there's nobody that hasn't heard of Aliens. Like the xenomorph, like what it looks like with its weird cucumber head, but its sleek back body.
Yeah.
Black body. Blah. But, and the mouth within the mouth, all the stuff, like the face huggers, the chest burster. Supposedly that chest burster scene was the first time any of those actors and actresses had like been exposed to that. So all of their like reactions
Were real.
in that scene are real.
Yeah.
And that sounds something like what Ridley would do. So I am 100% on board. Now, doing some more research for this particular podcast episode, it appears that Nintendo actually credits them for the early inspirations to the Metroid series. So, Samus Aran
Nice.
and all of them.
That makes sense.
Like the main villains in that game, like the two main ones at least, you have Mother Brain, Mother being the name of the AI that wakes them all up at the beginning of the film. Mm-hmm. And then Ridley, which is the dragon space pirate leader that is constantly at odds with Samus and is like with the most reoccurring character in that franchise of Metroid. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's just like I enjoy when something becomes so popular that it inspires stuff 20 years down the line.
Kenny,
I love
speaking of, I guess, popular stuff down the line, what is your opinion? Jake, you too. What is your opinion on the Alien versus Predator kind of franchise? Did y'all enjoy those films?
I liked it. They're technically canon.
Right.
They are canon.
Right.
I haven't seen all of them. I've seen some of the more recent ones. Would that involve like Prometheus and all that?
That's its own.
Yeah.
Those are technically prequels.
Which, by the way, terrible movie.
I
Yeah.
thought they were pretty good.
Well, I mean,
fun
the joke that me and some of my other friends have is that, okay, the round spaceship that is rolling at you, you're just running in a straight line in the same line of the thing that's trying to crush you to death instead of trying to run off to the side.
Yeah.
It's just one of those
Plot
things
armor.
where the
Plot
plot
armor.
armor is just absurd. But that's why I kind of had to double up on this, because in the first Alien film, we deal with the isolation of space and this, killing monster that nobody's ever seen before. And how do you deal with it? While in Aliens, you're planetside, you're in a colony. But instead of just one xenomorph, you got the whole colony of them. You got the queen, you got the soldiers, you got the workers. Like, the threat is just so much. It's similar, but it's just kind of. How would I describe it? It's a different vibe.
Yeah, I'm with you. I enjoy it, ish.
Sure.
The Predator movie, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, that was fine. But once they made a second one and a third one, and then the Alien vs. Predator, and
There's a sequel to it.
Hold on. I'm pretty sure. So they came out with the Prey movie.
Prey is
on
its most.
Hulu.
Yes, the most recent.
So they actually have another one coming out, but it's going to take a place during World War II.
Yes.
And that's going to be on Hulu, I think, in 2024. So I'm definitely partly excited to see that, but I'm also going to be making fun of it the entire damn time. You know what I mean?
Probably, yeah. So another, I guess, one final tidbit about Alien, the Alien franchise, before I let Jake double up on his 4 and number 3, is that Alien is in all kinds of different media. It is in the Dark Horse comics.
Yep.
It is in DC Comics. It is also in Marvel Comics. It has gotten around, and it is a very popular franchise.
You know, I actually had a
Part of Marvel?
Yes, Marvel
Actually,
Comics.
Marvel Comics. I actually had an Alien video game. I forget what it was called, but I had it on my little Game Boy,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed the hell out of that.
Oh, there's always a fun arcade machine that you just you're given the light gun and you go to town.
Yeah. All right, so moving on from Alien and Predator. Jake, what you got?
Number 3, I'm sticking with zombie.
As an inspiration to that video game franchise, which I just adore.
I'll take your word on it.
Fair enough.
I guess it's my turn, huh?
It can be.
Number 4, ladies and gentlemen, for Colin.
Well, I guess we're going to be talking about this film again. Alien.
Hey.
Alien came out in 1979. Ridley Scott film. 8.5 out of 10 or 98% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Which is funny. I have a list of the 200 best horror movies, and it is rated the best on their list.
So for me, Alien, again, saw this at a young age. Sigourney Weaver and what's his name? Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton.
There you go.
I actually still quote that movie sometimes to this day, particularly Game over, man.
It's game over, man. Hey, man. In space, no one can hear you scream, Jake. And let me tell you, there is a lot of space made available on the Nostromo after the alien gets through with it.
So the movie to me was scary-ish. But
it was just all practical. I loved it.
I enjoyed the film as a whole.
Yeah.
As a scary movie. So that's why I kind of put it in my top 5. But between all the Alien films in general, I think my particular favorite was actually Alien Resurrection.
Yeah.
Not Aliens. Okay.
No, Alien Resurrection. Out of all the Alien films, I would say Alien Resurrection is probably my favorite film.
Fair.
But anyway, definitely want to give a shout out to that particular franchise.
Yeah.
Alien is gonna be on my
Alien is
top
your number 4. Kenny, I'm gonna jump ahead here and I'll let you go first for your number 3 because I would imagine it's
Yeah, so I have Aliens as my number 3 for more or less the same reasons Collins had it. Just Ridley Scott working with H.R. Geiger, some of the best monster design in the business. Just classic stuff. Now, I guess I can't imagine there's nobody that hasn't heard of Aliens, like the xenomorph, like what it looks like with its weird cucumber head, but its sleek black body. But and the mouth within the mouth, all the stuff like the face huggers, the chest burster. Supposedly, that chest burster scene was the first time any of those actors and actresses had like been exposed to that. So all of their like reactions
real.
In that scene are real.
Yeah.
And that sounds something like what Ridley would do. So I am 100% on board. Now, doing some more research for this particular podcast episode, it appears that Nintendo actually credits them for the early inspirations to the Metroid series. So, Samus Aran.
nice.
And all of them.
That makes sense.
Like the main villains in that game, like the two main ones at least, you have Mother Brain, Mother being the name of the AI that wakes them all up at the beginning of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ridley, which is the dragon space pirate leader that is constantly at odds with Samus and is like with the most reoccurring character in that franchise of Metroid. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's just like I enjoy when something becomes so popular that it inspires stuff 20 years down the line.
Kenny,
I love
speaking of, I guess, popular stuff down the line, what is your opinion? Jake, you too. What is your opinion on the Alien versus Predator kind of franchise? Did y'all enjoy those films?
I liked it. They're technically canon.
Right.
They are canon.
Right.
I haven't seen all of them. I've seen some of the more recent ones. Would that involve like Prometheus and all that?
That's its own.
Yeah.
Those are technically prequels.
Which, by the way, terrible movie.
I
Yeah.
thought they were pretty good.
Well, I mean,
fun
the joke that me and some of my other friends have is that, okay, the round spaceship that is rolling at you, you know, you're just running in a straight line in the same line of the thing that's trying to crush you to death instead of trying to run off to the side.
Yeah.
It's just one of those
Plot
things
armor.
where the plot armor is just absurd. But that's why I kind of had to double up on this, because in the first Alien film, we deal with the isolation of space and this, you know, killing monster that nobody's ever seen before. And how do you deal with it? While in Aliens, you're planetside, you're in a colony. But instead of just one xenomorph, you got the whole colony of them. You got the queen, you got the soldiers, you got the workers. Like, the threat is just so much. It's similar, but it's just kind of. How would I describe it? It's a different vibe.
Yeah, I'm with you. I enjoy it, ish.
Sure.
The Predator movie, you know, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, that was fine. But once they made a second one and a third one, and then Alien vs Predator, and all in there,
There's a sequel to it.
Hold on. I'm pretty sure. So they came out with the Prey movie.
Prey is
on
its most
Hulu.
Yes, the most recent.
So they actually have another one coming out, but it's going to take a place during World War II,
Yes.
and that's going to be on Hulu, I think, in 2024. So I'm definitely like partly excited to see that, but I'm also going to be like making fun of it the entire damn time. You know what I mean?
Probably, yeah. So another, I guess, one final tidbit about Alien, the Alien franchise, before I let Jake double up on his 4 and number 3, is that Alien is in all kinds of different media. It is in the Dark Horse comics.
Yep.
It is in DC comics. It is also in Marvel comics. It has gotten around, and it is a very popular franchise.
You know, I actually had a
Part of Marvel?
Yes, Marvel
Actually,
Comics.
Marvel Comics. I actually had an Alien video game. I forget what it was called, but I had it on my little Game Boy,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed the hell out of that.
Oh, there's always a fun like arcade machine that you just you're given the light gun and you go to town.
Yeah. All right, so moving on from Alien and Predator. Jake, what you got?
Number 3, I'm sticking with zombies. No, my number 4 was 28 Days.
Oh, okay, that's right.
So number 3 here. Sticking with zombies, as I just mentioned. Still in Britain.
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead.
You're fucking. You're
My boy. Okay.
fucking predictable.
Simon Pegg, Nick Frost film from 2004. I just love it,
It's
man.
instant classic, man.
Instant classic. It's just fun. I don't know. Try to watch it every Halloween. It's a good old time. Slower zombies.
Yes, you get a real taste for British humor in that film.
Hey, can I say?
It works.
Jesus.
All right, Colin. Number 3.
Number 3 for me is, in fact, the 78 film Halloween.
Ah, yes.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Yep. John Carpenter. Phenomenal film. I mean, you can't get much more of a classic than that.
Yeah. You know, there's something like 14 films called Halloween.
Yep.
And Michael Myers is only not included in the third one. Because they went to like a weird route where they wanted to make it like witch coven cult stuff instead.
Right.
And then they just never touched that plot line again, which I am okay with because that was one of the weaker ones in that franchise. But
See, I'm more of a... Not more of. That's not what I wanted to say. I enjoyed the Rob Zombie take on his character.
Yes.
He just gets it. He understands the whole plot line and where that part of, like, where that film should go. Personally, I don't know how you all feel about it, but Rob Zombie, I feel like he kind of gets the whole horror. And I mean, I've seen the dude in concert. Don't get me wrong; he's definitely gives off that vibe, physically, personally.
Yeah. It's weird because out of all of like the late 70s, 80s, like horror villain monster things, he's the only one that's actually like stuck around. Like you don't really see much of Freddy Krueger anymore. You don't see any Jason Voorhees anymore.
No,
he's the one that managed to outlive them all.
Yeah, that's why I like his. That's why I like that film more so than like the Freddy versus Jason or their individual.
That
films.
one is also considered canon, which is upsetting to me. But I digress.
You digress a lot in the series. Just want to.
Yeah, it's a fun word. I can't help it.
But anyway, I enjoy his character more so than any other characters, like not Halloween, but Halloween characters. You know what I mean?
Sure, of named horror people,
serial killers, basically. Yeah, he definitely is up there for me. Whose turn is it?
Number 2, Colin, would you like to go first?
You know what? Double up, Colin. Go ahead.
Wow. Number 2, an 86 film. Bet none of y'all have this on your top 5. I'm going to say The Fly.
The Fly.
The Fly.
Okay.
Yeah. Jeff Goldblum.
Yep. That is a weird fucking film.
That movie actually...
I saw, like, I was first exposed to the Sci-Fi channel, like, 2 a.m. variety of that movie. It was very weird. But go ahead.
So that film actually went back and forth in my head between number 2 and number 1.
Okay.
In regards to my top 5. There's definitely scenes in that film that just freaked the shit out of me as a kid. Even now, like if I try to watch it now, I'd be like, oh, I remember that when I was growing up, and that kind of still weirds me out a little bit. Like like just talking about it right now, I'm getting a little shiver up and down my spine. So maybe this should have been my number 1 pick. I don't know, just talking about it. But The Fly, dude, it's just so weird. It's just fucked up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you just like Jeff Goldblum. I think.
Which is fair. That was...
I'm not knocking him.
That was 86, right? That is pre-Jurassic Park Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, now that I'm thinking about it, I was exposed to the Jurassic Park Jeff Goldblum first. But okay, The Fly. It's one of those... It's a weird trend when you start looking into it, that a lot of like super famous actors nowadays, like some of their first films are horror films. Johnny Depp's first film, he was in Nightmare on Elm Street. He was the lead actress's boyfriend before he gets pulled into the bed and becomes a blood fountain.
Yep.
But that was his first film, his first accredited film. Was, just some random horror film that nobody's heard of because it was the first one in the franchise.
I think the first horror, I guess, film the first thing that comes to mind for me is actually Johnny Depp in, oh my God, what's the name of the film? The Headless Horseman film.
Sleepy Hollow?
Sleepy Hollow, yeah. I think that's the first horror film that really comes to mind when I think of Johnny Depp and horror films in general, but it didn't scare me. It was just random side note kind of thing. But anyway, continuing on.
Yeah, so I guess to kind of go off of that, my number 2, I have as John Carpenter's 1982 masterpiece, The Thing. Kurt Russell, Keith David. Back before I really knew who they were.
The Thing.
There is just something about that film that brings me back to it. It might be the practical effects and the different stories I've heard about the practical effects, like just how they do some of the shots. So, are you familiar with The Thing at all, Jake?
No.
Okay, so The Thing is about an alien that is able to assimilate and kind of like mimic different living creatures visually perfectly, and I guess audibly, but whichever. And is basically just trying to escape from this Antarctic research facility. And through different things, people get infected, and there's a lot of distrust and a lot of paranoia. And some of the more fun practical effects and some of the more like unnerving shots. Like there is a super tense shot of just a husky standing still, not making noise. And I don't know what it is about that particular shot. I think it's mostly because you know that particular husky is the thing, because huskies are like these psychotic balls of energy that don't know how to stay quiet or still. But one of the more famous scenes where they are trying to apply some defibrillators to a guy on a table.
I know what you're talking about.
As the guy is going down with a defib, the stomach turns into like a teethy mouth and bites the guy's hands off. Well, arms entirely off. And then the rest of the people that are watching are freaking out. They pull out the flamethrowers and they start burning the thing, because by this point in the film, they've realized that this thing is not a huge fan of fire.
Nope.
But then, like, as the body of the thing is burning, the head detaches, grows a couple of tentacles, and scurries away.
Oh, God.
And it sounds cheesy, but it is like the most complicated scene in the entire film on a handful of levels. So in that particular scene, what they did is they hired an actor who was a double amputee. They put fake arms on the guy, and they put a silicone mask on him so that he looks roughly like the actor he's in place of. So then when the animatronic bites off the fake arms, they then like quickly switch back to the actual actor who's like, you know, screaming because he just had his arms bitten off.
Yeah.
And then you see this head thing scurry away, but this is like fully like animatronic. So you can see like this head is still like breathing. It's still like twitching and pulsing and stuff. It isn't like cheap rubber head being pulled along by a string.
It's phenomenal.
It is phenomenal.
It's good enough for number 2.
Good enough for number 2.
Kenny, I want to read this review that somebody had written out about the film.
About the thing?
Yeah.
Go for it.
This film captures paranoia and anxiety better than any horror film ever as this group of men are isolated in the frigid.
Yes. Like, if you want, like, the best movie of watching basically 10 grown men just lose their shit, this is the film for you. And Kurt Russell does a fantastic job as the lead.
Yeah, he's the
He's the pilot, yeah.
Helicopter pilot. And then what's his face plays the director of the camp.
Blair? No.
No, whatever the actor.
I'm blanking on it.
It's like TK something. Anyway, but yeah, awesome, good movie.
Good movie. Highly recommend it.
It's been a while since I watched it.
It has one of the more famous just movie posters where you just see this shadow of a guy, and then there's just like this explosion of light coming out of the head. It's fantastic. I love it. Jake, though, I'm sure you love things too. What's your number 2?
Mine's gonna be controversial. Keep in mind.
Scary
This is
movie.
my list. So if you don't like it, you go, you know where to go. Number 2. Speaking of groups of people losing their shit and cheesy films, Cabin in the Woods.
Fuck you.
Okay, but I can appreciate that though. It is a great homage to horror in general because
Well, the funny
it's one of
thing
those
is-
things. Like, is a movie actually shit if it acknowledges itself in its own movie that it's shit?
I love that. Absolutely love that.
At that point, it becomes comedy.
That's a fair point. Actually, I think some coworker and I were talking about this exact film over the weekend, and no, this film is in fact shit. It does not even deserve to be acknowledged in the top 25 of any category. This film
I love
sucks.
this. I love
But
this movie.
with that being said, nowadays, like my age now, I can watch a scary film and laugh about it. So like Paranormal Activity or Cabin in the Woods or Halloween, whatever the film may be, I can laugh about it. And that, honestly, I would consider that more of a comedy film.
all
with,
mine are
Step
comedies.
Brothers.
Yeah,
That's
most of
way.
Jake's are just, Halloween themed.
But I respect your decision because that's the kind of vibe you're going with, is top scary films that are more comedic.
Yeah.
Fine, that's you. But no, that movie sucked.
Cabin in the Woods, 2011. Chris Hemsworth and Bradley Whitford.
yeah.
Yeah.
Solid cast.
It was just fun. Actually, the funny story here. When I rented that film back in the day when people used to go to McDonald's and they had the red boxes and all that, but whatever. I rented that film because I actually was wanting to watch a horror film. For whatever reason, it was Halloween time. I was like,
That's very odd for you.
I know, because I don't like horror films in general, but
I remember watching that film with you at one point.
I think we
And I
did
read
watch
it.
that as the group. Yeah.
I read it as a horror film, and I was like, this is so fucking stupid and funny that I fell in love with it. So there you go. Made it my number 2 on my list. You want me to go first now?
Yeah,
Since
go
mine's
ahead.
gonna be
Have you done your number 2, Colin?
Yeah, mine was The Fly.
Oh, yours was The Fly. Okay.
So Jake can tell us his number 1 now.
Go ahead, Jake.
Number
What is your
one.
number 1?
It's probably a little less controversial, but keep in mind it's still on the comedic horror side. Back to zombies, though. Woody Harrelson, Colin,
Zombieland.
Jesse Eisenberg, and Emma Stone. The original 2009 Zombieland.
That film is entirely just what us random nerds would do if a zombie outbreak actually occurred.
I fucking love it.
I did love it.
That is a great
I could watch
film.
that film over and over and over.
I agree with you, Jake.
I
That was a good
absolutely
film.
love that film.
The second one, not so much.
Yeah, the second one. But
What
Woody
is it?
Harrelson is like perfect for that film. Absolutely perfect. And there's so many catchy lines and like, I love it.
The pacing is great. Just them
The intro,
pacing
is
out like
zombies
the
dying.
rules. Just them going over the rules is great. It's like, remember, rule whatever, double tap.
Yeah, that was
And not to mention,
his
why are
mission
we,
to find a Twinkie.
why
I
we-
mean, like, you can't make this
Okay,
up.
yeah, seriously, the fucking Twinkies were.
Snowballs.
Now I kind of want a fucking Now I kind of want a Twinkie, but we're forgetting one key characteristic here. Or character is a cameo, Bill Murray.
Bill
Yes.
Murray. Yeah. It's just the casting was really good. The writing's funny. It has zombies. Number 1.
But
Number
it
1 in my
pissed
book.
me off that fucking Emma Stone shot him.
Yeah.
Well,
Fuck that, dude. If I was in a zombie apocalypse and I found Bill Murray and the person that I was with shot Bill Murray, I would shoot that bitch. And yeah, like fuck you.
seems
for
like a
shooting
waste
Bill-
of bullets, but okay.
You shot Bill Murray.
Yeah,
He's-
but just beat the guy with a pan or something.
Okay, fine. I would torture him, whatever. But I would remove them from the planet.
Fair enough.
Kenny, what's your number 1?
Well, my number 1 is your number 5. So I got Blair Witch here. So that film bothers me on so many levels that after I watch it, I can't sleep.
What? Blair Witch Project?
Yeah. So a lot of it is just like I guess just kind of like the storytelling on a budget, right? It's just like, we've all gone camping. We know that you don't fuck with the woods. When the woods makes a noise, you don't go chase after it. That's how you die. Like, this is like one of the films that like established that rule. Like, when shit goes on in the woods, you just let it happen. Don't worry about it. You're going to stay alive. Stay in your tent.
Fucking keep a flashlight on the entire time if that makes you feel better, but stay in your fucking tent.
Yeah. And then just like, you know, a handful of like horror tropes that you see just kind of get perpetuated. Like, okay, the random people that have lived in the town, like by the woods, they don't know exactly what's going on, but they know better. So they're just like the fisherman's just like, don't go up there.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Don't go up there. And then it's just like you see, I guess, just like some practical effects that just instills just like some uneasy stuff. Like, you wouldn't think that somebody just coming up to your tent and rattling the shit out of it would be scary until you've been in a tent and people have done that to you.
Yeah, that takes me back to the Boy Scouts, honestly.
Yeah.
Going camping with Boy Scouts.
Just young kids screwing around with
your
each
age
other.
or even younger, and you know, you're either being dragged out of your tent to be saran wrapped to your cot and then shaving cream all over your sleeping bag and everything, whatever. Or
That was fun. I remember that.
summer camp, or you're out in the woods doing whatever, man, you just get fucked with. Yeah, that's all funny if you're the one doing it to the other person. But what if, like, you're a 10-year-old kid and the person doing that to you is like me, who's 16, 17 years old? 16-year-old's obviously going to laugh about it, but the 10-year-old's going to have some PTSD later on down the line.
You want to talk about it, Colin?
He is. That's what this is.
That's what this is. That's actually why I wanted to do this particular episode tonight, so I can have a little therapy session.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
But I already mentioned earlier just like the dumb amount of return that this movie had. This film, I think, is the classic example of if you want to get into filmmaking and don't know where to start and you don't have a budget, start with horror, because horror films always have the lowest budget starting out, and they always make, well, I say always, but they almost always make that money back plus more. So it's just easy, I guess, like, because at that point you, like this film, The Blair Witch Project, and the directors put in an ad in the back of a magazine for their actors. And they just found a couple random people that they felt like fit the role the best.
Nice. I love it.
Like, it's just like this idea that you can make such a cultural icon and something so deeply, deeply upsetting.
Yeah.
Upsetting, I would say respectful.
Well, upsetting in terms of like, I don't feel great in this situation watching this film in my house. Like, this movie bothers me.
Then they did their job.
They did their jobs. These
And
guys
they got
knew what they
their-
wanted. They got their money back in spades. I had a couple of honorable mentions, I guess, for this list. Things that I couldn't put in my top 5, but I had to include just in terms of, like, they're important for
Hold on, before we get to that,
horror
we're gonna
and
go
stuff.
on
But we're
my
going to
number
give
one.
it to Colin next, though.
We can go into honorable mentions after my number one.
Sure.
Which is funny enough, Kenny. My number one is actually your number 5. So we're gonna talk about the same film again.
Fair enough. Okay.
The Shining.
The Shining.
The Shining, honestly.
It's iconic.
Yeah. I've been to that hotel.
Why did you... So, whoever wants to go first here, but why did you rank it so high, Colin, and you ranked it so low? Not, I'd say low, but like you put it as 5 as opposed
Sure.
to...
I guess I'll start.
Go ahead.
So I put mine at 5 because I like that film more on like a cinematography kind of level, as opposed to like it, like, you know, it creeps me out. It like legitimately scares me.
Yeah.
But it is like a staple to horror. It has to be on the list.
Yeah.
So that's where I was kind of struggling with where I wanted to throw like some honorable mentions, because there's a lot of stuff that kind of fall into that category of stuff that I feel like need to be on a list. If we did a top 10, maybe the next time we do this, we could throw that in. But
So why'd you rank The Shining so high on your list, Colin?
The exact reason what Kenny just said, because of the cinematography, because of the score, because of the acting that went into it, because of the actors that were in the film, Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall. I just remember as a kid watching Shelley Duvall bedtime stories. You know, she had several seasons. I think, I don't know, like 2, 3, 4. I don't remember how many exactly, but I just remember those bedtime stories and the animation that went into that on VHS of all things. Exactly. So like I have I don't know, like a fond memory with Shelley Duvall, and seeing her in this particular setting to me is just like a whoa. So that's why I have more respect for her. Jack Nicholson, I mean, come on, how the fuck do you not have respect for that man?
yeah.
Just The Shining in general has to be somewhere in the top 5, and for me, it was my number 1 because of everything I just said.
Yeah. Kubrick might also be like a little shithead.
Yeah, well,
Apparently, there was some issues behind the scenes with Duvall and him.
yeah.
So, it's just one of those things.
It's definitely iconic, so I can give you that.
All right,
Yeah.
Kenny, go into your honorable mentions.
Well, did Jake do his number 1 already?
Zombieland.
You did Zombieland.
Pay attention, Kenny.
I'm not, apparently. My bad, boys. So, honorable mentions. My first one, I would have to go with Midsummer.
Okay.
That was a different kind of dread than, say, The Shining, like I mentioned earlier,
That's more
or like Aliens,
that's
because it's more
suspense to me.
yeah,
I
it's
feel
more
like.
suspense, but it's creepy
Sure.
because there's the bit of paganism involved, and this anthropologist trying to, like, be respectful in the situation, but then also being like, man, that's kind of fucked up. You just, like, hammered that old man's head in.
Yeah.
Other honorable mention. This is where you all will make fun of me, but I can't separate it from Halloween as much as I can not separate it from Christmas. But Nightmare Before Christmas,
Nice work.
like
Bone
it
Daddy.
was. It was definitely an era, right? Like, it was a Hot Topic moment. Like, Hot Topic basically made millions of dollars off of Jack Skellington.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
But, that's one of those things where I am blanking on the name of the director now.
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton.
Tim
Yes,
Burton.
thank you. Tim Burton is one messed up dude.
Yeah.
Like, his style is great, but, dude, might need to get checked out every once in a while.
So, speaking of Tim Burton, totally off subject, but we're on the subject. Do you think that Nightmare Before Christmas is a Halloween or a Christmas movie?
I don't know. I'd probably say Halloween.
I would say Halloween as well, but I watch it at both times. It's in both categories.
Exactly. That's why we're having this debate right now.
The only reason I say Halloween is I think Christmas time. There's just so many Christmas movies. So
Yeah.
just in terms of like my time of
Yeah.
watching films, it just doesn't. But I'd be, I could watch it during Halloween time though.
Yeah. I mean, I just remember, like, forgetting about this film for the longest time. And then I listened to a remake, or a cover, I suppose, of This Is Halloween by Manson. I'm pointing
Marilyn Manson?
Yeah, by Marilyn Manson.
Did he do a cover of that?
He did.
I've not heard it.
You should. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
We'll do that after this.
Okay.
You don't have a choice.
Okay,
But
no, I'll definitely give it.
that I just remember listening to that and being like, "Oh, damn, that is really good. I like that." And then I was reminded of the film. I was like, "Okay, let me go back and watch this again." And it's just like, yeah, no, all of these characters are still as messed up as I thought they were in my head. But yeah, it was a good time. Do you all have any honorable mentions?
Well, hold on.
Hold on. We're holding on.
I want to give my 2 cents on if I think it's a Christmas or Halloween movie. And my answer to that, this might be a hot take. I think it's a Christmas movie. Because actually,
It has
truthfully,
Christmas in the name. So.
I've actually
But
only
Nightmares
watched
in it
it.
too?
I've only watched it during Christmas ever.
Fair enough. I mean, I see it.
Are you one of those that goes back and watches
Die Hard,
Die
yes.
Hard and
Die
Christmas?
Hard is in fact a Christmas movie. Bruce Willis has come out and said
That's
that
a
it's
given.
not a Christmas movie, and fuck you, it is. Now, granted, arguments could be made for the latter films, but Die Hard's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's definitely a Christmas movie.
I don't know if I'm disappointed. I haven't seen the film enough to actually know, to have an opinion in that regard. But okay.
But and
Back to Halloween.
But to go back on to the subject of honorable mentions, I actually do have an honorable mention. Is the movie Coherence?
Coherence.
Anybody seen that?
No.
Jake, I think you actually have seen this.
Describe the plot to me.
So when did the movie come out? So 2013. It's a sci-fi thriller. It's more, yeah, exactly like I said. It's more of a thriller. It's only like 90 minutes long, but basically the plot is 8 friends at a dinner party experience a troubling chain of events due to the malevolent influence of a passing comet.
Oh my gosh. Is that the with the glow sticks?
Yep.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's
a good
one.
honorable mention.
It's better than Cabin in the Woods, by the way.
Wow, I forgot about that film.
But one of our
know if I've seen
friends,
this.
dear Katie, shout out to you, by the way.
Yeah.
Introduced us to this film, and at the time, you know,
Oh,
what?
that one. Okay. I've seen it then.
She deserved a lot of shit because it honestly was a terrible film.
Nah, it was fun to watch.
But
I
it
never
was a
watched
fun
it again,
watch.
but it was a fun watch.
But yeah,
That's good. Yeah, I like that. I have seen that.
Yeah, okay. Now that I'm thinking about it, I remember nothing about the film other than us watching it at Katie's doing, I suppose. She just kind of threw it on, if I remember.
yeah, whatever. Anyway.
Whatever.
I got a few that when I was making up this list, I got a few that jumped, but I just didn't put it on the top 5. Cloverfield was one. I don't know.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's good.
Tremors, the old Tremors film.
Oh, Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
That wasn't scary, but dude, that is a good movie. That's a good movie.
It rides the line of it being self-aware that it's weird ground worm things. So it's funny.
More on topic, something that jumped out to me. The Village. Do you guys ever see that?
The Village,
God.
yes.
Freaking terrible movie. Joaquin
It
Phoenix.
wasn't great, but it's
M. Night Shyamalan and Ding Dong just needs to fucking stop making films, honestly.
Well, he's gotten
Signs
predictable.
was an alright film, and I mean alright. That's as
What was-
high as I'll go.
Signs.
Signs.
That was the last one on my honorable mention was Science,
Okay.
which scared the living crap out of me as a child.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah. If I had any other...
I mean, no, we're gonna talk about this because
Okay.
the movie Signs was interesting, and I'll
I remember it
probably
being a good movie. Scared the
probably
crap
one
out
of
me.
the top 10 films M. Night Shyamalan and Ding Dong made. I think his best was probably The Sixth Sense, personally.
Easily, yeah.
But why come up with a plot of aliens coming to Earth that is how much percent of water? And that is
Oh, that's
the
a
one-
War of the Worlds reference too. Like aliens just don't understand that
You don't
there's
come
water
to a
and
planet
bacteria
where your one
here.
weakness is fucking water.
Yeah.
When most of the planet is water. Yes, no, that is.
But they only
the
made
thing.
it. The only reason why the movie was air quotes clever is because the girl, I forget what the actress's name is. She had a thing for water. If it was too dirty or whatever, there just happened to be a shit ton of glasses around the house. When Mel Gibson says to Joaquin Phoenix,
away.
"Swing away," and he freaking just like, okay, not only am I gonna just break a bunch of glasses and splatter this alien. But eventually, I'm going to beat the living shit out of him with a
stick.
baseball bat.
Yeah.
Louisville Slugger.
Louisville Slugger, by the way.
Was it a Louisville Slugger?
Louisville Slugger.
It was,
yeah,
yeah.
it was a
Okay.
Louisville Slugger.
Nice.
So, yeah, congratulations, by the way, to the winner of that Louisville Slugger, Katie Wells, or Smith, I should say. So, congratulations, shout out to that individual. But yeah, Louisville Slugger.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let us know in the comments if you think my top 5 list is the best list out of all 3 of them.
Or, you know,
Your top 5.
Yeah, Zombieland.
another great idea?
28 Days Later. Young
Hit that
Frankenstein.
like button if you like mine. Hit that like button if you like Collins. Leave a comment.
No,
though, if you
hit
like-
the subscribe button if you like my list. Hit the like button if you like Kenny's. And you know what? Just
Let me know in the comments how much you loved my list.
exactly.
Fair enough.
Do that. My God. But I do want to have one last thing. Honorable mention that honestly skipped my mind was House of Wax.
House of Wax. Okay.
Terrible film. That I'm just gonna leave it at that.
The thing is, I know of House of Wax, and I'm just like, it's honorable, I suppose.
Paris Hilton's
Yeah, Paris
only
Hilton.
good film. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
And we're done. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah, we got some stuff working on in the background. Got some cameras set up. We're going to be shooting some stuff live. Everybody, thank you for listening, and we shall see you all next time.
See you, everybody.